Hello, and I'm going to be talking about morality. It is very cool. Humans love to be moral. Morality has evolved from like basic natural selection because humans are, they're not the most strongest animals, compared to like tigers or lions and that sort of stuff. But because of the fact that we're so social, we get to gang up on them. And do things that one of us could never have achieved by themselves. You can see this with a bunch of different animals. Ants like forming themselves into like rafts on top of water, that sort of stuff. Like packs of wolves, hunting together. Like same thing with Africa with like wild dogs and that sort of stuff. Like this all happens because joining together is. God damn it! This all happens because working together is much better than working separately, and this is why morality has really evolved from with humans and a bunch of other animals. Like for example, dolphins. You have like probably heard stories of like sailors being stranded at sea and then dolphins helping other people find them, or like warding off sharks and that sort of stuff. This all happens because in groups, especially when you see that someone else is acting, nicely to you, you would act nicely to them, and so forth. But that's the thing. This morality is more beneficial to change, especially in this new industrial, globalized, more interconnected world than ever before. Morals can be seen with basically every religion. Like Christianity with like the Ten Commandments and the Bible and that sort of stuff. The Quran, like in Islamic religions. There's the four Purusathas in in Hinduism, and Confucianism has the decree of heaven. Buddhism has the sila of its 3 paths to liberate the mind. Like every religion has this, and it's really there because humans are hard to control. We are dumb, right? We are very emotional, and we would love to believe, for example, in a higher power, and that you can see that with the religions that have a high power at the heart of them. So like Quran or Christianity and Islamic stuff. We want to believe in that, and especially to get our morals from it. And from this, it is very, very hard to actually change someone's morals. Morals are probably the hardest thing to change in a person. Like, you can change their behavior, you can change their tastes, their perceptions of other people, their relationships, but morals are, like, they take so long to change, and they're really hard to do it. The thing that you're probably thinking of when people say, oh, well, he was a nice person before, but now he's bad. Oh, well, he's immoral now, right? Or, oh, that person is really moral, even though he was raised in pretty much the same culture as you are. It's actually that they've changed their worldview than their actual morals. The worldview that comes with the morals, that they view, that they make decisions from the morals through, It's sort of like a filter. Like, the things from the morals go through this, and they change into other things depending on the worldview. So, for example, I'll say the most extreme one, Hitler. Most people would say, oh wow, he was the most immoral man in the world. And I don't think so. I think he had morals pretty much the same as everyone else. It's just that his worldview was so different to anyone else. And, it comes from, eugenics and that sort of stuff, and believing in, like his shrinking markets problems. You can look this all up. Like, there's just other stuff. But his worldview has changed him so much that he actually didn't view, for example, murder. Let's just take murder. He didn't view murder as murdering another Homo sapien. He thought of murder as murdering another valuable human, sort of, to society. And so, when he thought of the race rank, S to F, or E, the Jews and the Slavs were at the bottom, and the Aryans and Scandinavians, and those sort of people, Germanic people, were at the top. And so, his murder was, well, the same as any of us, really, is, it's homicide is bad when it's done to good people, right? Like valuable people. And so he didn't think Jews were, people, they were less than people, and so that's why he was completely fine with murdering them. But if you actually look at what he thought about German people, he was like the most normal person ever. Like he, for example, said that he would let everyone other than Germany, like they were in a food crisis, a major food crisis in 1941, 1942, and all the way to the rest of the war. He would let everyone outside Germany starve before a single German went hungry. Like, this guy was, like, really careful with his own people. It's just that with other people that he didn't view as people, he didn't care about. Same as we don't really care if an ant dies, right? We don't really care about that. I would kill 100 ants before, well, no, infinite amount of ants, really. Well, not infinite, because, they actually help the ecosystem, but like 100,000 ants before I would let, I don't know, myself go hungry for a few weeks. I would die in that point, for 1 week. And this is how Hitler viewed the lower classes, sort of, and it's his worldview that changed. And this happened to his followers also. As I said, the morality part is the hard part, and the worldview is relatively the easy part. It's the same thing, like, if you think of going on an Antarctic expedition, same, for example, if, eating dogs and stuff, here, in the, the normal world is, pretty frowned upon. But if you're on an Antarctic expedition, and then all your cargo got lost by, pterodactyl coming and swooping, taking it away, I mean, you would eat those dogs, and people, like, from outside looking in would be like, oh, okay, well, that was a completely normal thing to do. And another great example, I'd say, is murder. Just in general, murder, right? So think about a person murdering another person, right? Most people would say, oh, that's the most immoral thing to do. And, I mean, it's illegal in every single country. Like, murder is technically, the definition of it is illegal homicide. But, like, I'm talking, like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, that kind of murder, it's illegal in every single country. And, but, like, just imagine, okay, this guy was then threatening with a knife and about to kill him and shoot him with a gun. He had both knife and a gun, and then this guy went and killed him. Well, then, most people would say, well, nearly everyone would say, oh, okay, this guy was completely justified in murdering him. And they would be on the side of this guy who actually murdered the other guy. Even though that guy didn't murder this guy, he was about to. So, it's actually not about the actual morals of it. It's not about the actual crime, it's about the morals of the crime, Or, for example, this guy was, like, before, most people say, oh, maybe he would get the life in jail, or a decent amount of time in jail, just normal murdering, right, just plain bread, wholemeal bread murdering, but, not wholemeal, I don't know. But if this guy was then drugged, for example, if you'd said to people, oh, this guy was drugged, he was, a bunch of alcohol was inside of him, and this guy just, like, commented on, did a yo mama joke, right, on this guy, and these guys, like, got really angry, and then he killed him. Well, most people say, okay, well, this guy's still in the wrong, he should get a punishment, but not so severe as before. So now, it's not even that, like, it has gone even less now. And it's really on a spectrum, and it's more fluid than other people think. Like, if people on both sides, if one guy murdered the other after the other provoked him with a gun or a knife or something, people on both sides would honestly, nearly definitely, almost all the time, defend their own side and say they were immoral and the other guy was immoral. So there's even a bias in that. So it's the same thing how war criminals, if a country looks at another country, oh, there's a war criminal, to the other country, there would be a war hero, because they killed a bunch of people and they, usually, and won some battles. So once I've established that, then you'd think that, okay, well, different people have different morals, especially in different parts of the world. Like, for example, like Sharia law in Islamic religions around Middle Eastern area, that part of the world, most people in the West would see those areas and their ways that they treat their own, exploit the people, and they would be against it. They would not think it's moral to treat their people like that. Well, those people there, the US, for example, did a poll in Afghanistan a couple of years before they left, and even after, they got a taste of, like, they were under, under the Western government, sort of, you could say, and most people there still wanted to go back to Sharia law. They didn't care that, this place is, this sort of lifestyle is, pretty good. They still wanted to go back. And some people say, they don't know how bad it was. Well, actually, they do. It's just their morals are so different, and it's hard to change them, even when they see, the West culture, you don't have to, repress your lifestyle, and that sort of, and, like, lower your freedom for lifestyle. They still want to go back to it. So, and now you would think that, okay, well, what about the people who have different morals to us? Should we judge them the same? If they commit a crime, and to all of us, that would be immoral. But for them, it is completely moral to do it. Should they be judged by the same way that we all would judge ourselves? Some people would say yes, some people would say no. But, I mean, it doesn't really make sense to. And the same thing, what should we do with them? Should we put them, most people would be put in a mental institution for having different morals to us. Or there would be, should we, deport them to another country where they could be with other people that think like them? And it's thing with, immigration. A lot of anti-immigration arguments are there because of the actual culture that these immigrants, bring in. And if they have different morals to us, why would the people in the country they're coming to, why do they need these people when they're gonna, act completely differently and might not just understand how the people in the country have done their lives, lived their lives. And this is why we like experimenting or looking at media with different morals. We like the media playing with us. For example, the Joker. He's the most immoral person and the most immoral character in really all of fiction. His morals are so screwed up that, people just love to see these sorts of movies, Same thing with Rick and Morty. Rick, it's not that actually his morals have changed, although maybe a little bit. However, it's actually the worldview of his that actually changed. And this is why people really like Rick from Rick and Morty, is that his worldview is different from us. I just repeated the same thing 3 times. God damn it. And this also comes with the moral dilemmas. We like those runaway trolley things where you have to divert the track to kill 1 person instead of 5. Or, for example, the Heinz Dilemma, where there's a medical cure to a person's mother, a sick mother, and otherwise she would die. And so the person can't pay for it, and so steals it in order to save the mother. And people obviously are on both sides of the debate. And this is why people really like these dilemmas, it's actually, we like to be right. We like to be moral. Being moral has been, engraved in us through natural selection. And so humans get a serotonin, boost whenever they do something that they feel they have done something moral. For example, when they don't steal from... don't take the entire thing. For example, on Halloween, there's trick-or-treating, and there's a bowl, and it's please take one, and some people take all of them, right? And how, compared to the people who only take one, they get a serotonin boost because, I wasn't like that other person who took all of them, I was the good one. I was the correct human being in that situation. And so we actually really like attacking these or thinking about these moral dilemmas because we want to see how we would fit our framework and worldview and morals into that situation and think of, oh yes, okay, I can do this situation. I'll be right in this situation when it comes up. And we get serotonin rushes from all of these things. And this is why we fear AI. This is why we have all these movies, for example, HAL in 2001: Space Odyssey, this sort of stuff. They don't have actual morals. They purely think from a logician's perspective, you could say. Christ. because we think that they will act not in our best interests and aren't going to be careful in their decisions. But actually, you are like purely logical people are the ones who are actually have the most success in this world. People often say like, oh, these billionaires and millionaires, like, why don't they, for example, act more morally? Why don't they pay their workers more? God damn it! Why don't they be more nice to the environment instead of like making all this money? But actually, if you actually think about it from a purely logical point, there is no point to it. There is actually no point in their lives to do this other than being moral, which actually doesn't really exist. Like, there's no relative, there's no moral point for the universe. It's like speed or distance and that sort of things. It's relative in the universe. There's no reference point. There's no universal reference point for morality. And so, when acting from a purely logical perspective, especially now in this interconnected world, where you actually don't see like all these things that were beneficial, that were there for us when we were hunter-gatherers, and we were like roaming the lands, and you were only with a pretty close-knit group that you constantly go around the land with. And so if you screw up and be immoral to them, they will, shun you, stop giving you food, you'll die, you'll be outcast. But now, you basically don't really spend, you don't depend on a group of people for basically anything, unless you're a child. And that's why, children are often usually pretty nice to their parents, because they have to. But when they become adults, there is no reason to, because you could just go to another company, you could just go to another country, you could just get new friends, You could just go to another, retailer if you try to shoplift and you get caught and you don't go to jail. There is no reason not to exploit this. Whenever you have a chance to exploit something, it is the most logical choice and path is to actually exploit it. No matter what, the bystanders are going to think of you, or how your morality will, get affected by it. So, in summary, there is no morality point for the universe. It is all relative, and it's all, thought up by humans, and to be fair, it is thought up through good means, because we were hunter-gatherers, and this did benefit us when we were in pretty tiny groups, and you had to be nice to the other people around you. However, in this new world, you shouldn't be surprised when people change their framework for how they view the world, or morality, in order to be more successful. Because, truthfully, the ones who do that are the ones who are most successful. An example of something, for example, when you're doing something moral, is imagine you were two people, you and another person, were offered $100 or a PS5 or something. And the other person would say, oh no, it's okay, you take it, right? They are acting, people say, morally, and if you, for example, would just snatch it straight away, you'd be acting immorally. Even though technically, if you're never going to meet that person ever again in your life, there is no reason for you to not snatch it. You are losing in every single possible way, except some would say your morality. But the only reason why you would ever act morally in that situation was that if the other person would have an effect in your life in the future. And this is why also humans are so bad at actually thinking logically. It's because of our morality, and it clouds us, and we're irrational for it. But yeah, what would you do in that situation? Huh? What would you do? What?